What's up, guys? Thank you for joining me for this video. Today we're going to be talking about Enneagram Type 3, and we are talking about when good goes bad for each type. And so what that means is, in this series, what we're talking about is each of us has certain strengths that we bring to the table, certain things that we're naturally prone to focus on, things that we may become very adept at. Well, those strengths sometimes can be overused by our personality and can eventually become our Achilles heel and become a weakness. And so every strength we have could potentially become a weakness because of its overuse. We tend to not develop fully as people. We just kind of run with our strengths and we can overdepend on those. So we're going to be looking at the strengths of the Type 3, just a few of them, a few of the strengths, and how those can potentially become problematic for Type 3. Okay, so Type 3, of course, is the performer or the achiever. You know, it's the winner. It's the person that's focused on accomplishing goals and setting great goals and doing whatever it takes to get ahead and to make an impact. And of course, this type is kind of prone to exhaustion, and they tend to minimize their feelings. They tend to focus on results and getting things done and looking good while doing it. They tend to be charming, and they tend to draw people to themselves and tend to be admired by others. The Type 3 is a worth type, meaning it's with the 2s, 3s, and 4s, and that they're dealing with a question of worth and value. They may not really be aware of that. They may not be considering that, but the Enneagram, you know, it's brutal. It scratches us, and one of the ways it scratches the 3s is it lets them know that this drive toward accomplishing so much and being the best and looking good is not really a drive toward something, but a drive away from a sense of shame. In other words, the question the 3 is sort of dealing with is, what gives me the right to be a person? What gives me the right to be alive? What value do I bring to the table? And obviously you are a person of intrinsic value, and you don't need to prove that to anybody. You walk into a nursery and you see a bunch of babies who haven't accomplished anything. They all have intrinsic value. They're valuable simply because they exist. But the 3 kind of forgets that, and so they start to think that they must make people admire them. They must be an achiever. They must be a winner. And then at some point, you know, the idea is at some point when they have all of these medals and awards and certificates and accomplishments and promotions and beautiful house and great career and trophy wife, then they will know that they are a person of value and a person of worth. And that's really what the issue is, worth and value. All right, so let's get into the list of the positives, the superpowers, you might say, but also could potentially become weaknesses for you as well. Number 1 is setting and meeting goals. Okay, setting and meeting goals. You know, some of the other types could learn from the 3 that it's important to set goals and to then accomplish those goals. And 3s can be very driven toward accomplishing those goals that they've set for themselves. Not just any goals, but goals they believe in and goals that they think will bring value to them. 3s want to make things happen. They want to splash into life. They're an assertive type like 7s and 8s, and they want to splash in and make a difference and make an impact. They want their lives to count. They want to feel valuable. They want to bring value to the team, and they want to produce results. And so the 3 will not have a problem setting goals and meeting goals, and will get nervous when they don't know what the goal is. What's the downside of that? Well, 3s can become very aggressive in trying to meet those goals, and you know, can become so hyper-focused on meeting those goals that maybe they'd be willing to cut corners in meeting those goals. Maybe they'd be willing to use deception to meet those goals, to get to those goals as quick as possible. What does it take to win? What does it take to get to the finish line first? And so a 3 might feel the temptation, at least, to be deceptive or to use deceptive practices to best their competition. And 3s do think in terms of competition. Not every type does. Many of the types think of cooperation. And the 3 is going to think, how do I prove my value and my worth? By being better than you and by getting to the finish line ahead of you. And so 3s might be willing to step on people, to get to the goal, or to cut corners to get to the goal, or to negatively affect their own health psychologically and physically and emotionally in order to get to that goal, in order to accomplish that objective. So the objective starts to drive the 3, and they're very driven people by nature. Driven to accomplish, driven to prove themselves, driven away from the shame toward what they think will bring value to them, to be admired by others, to be respected, to be appreciated, to be admired, I think is the key word, admired by others. Remember, admiration is not the same thing as love, okay? All right, next. Second thing is the superpower of the 3 is working hard to get a job done. Well, that's great. You know, again, there's some other types that we could learn from the 3, being willing to work hard and you know, being able to execute what needs to be done in order to finish the job, in order to complete the task. And 3s, I think, aren't afraid to work long hours and put in extra time, and maybe even more than other types, you know, mentally focus on their work. In other words, I think for many 3s, work probably keeps them up at night. You know, how can we move ahead? How can we accomplish more? How can we get to the next level? How can we grow the business and get to the next level? Or how do I get to that next pay grade or that next promotion? I think 3s are going to get hired at a company, and they're going to have their eyes set on how do I advance. And if they can't advance, if they don't feel like they can advance, like they've topped out or they've reached the maximum, I think 3s are going to get nervous, because they want to know what they can do to move up the ladder and how they can, you know, move ahead. And when there's no opportunity for that, I think 3s are going to become maybe a little bit disgruntled, a little bit frustrated. And again, the negative side of this, you know, working hard and getting the job done and executing goals is, well, what if people are in the way of those goals? What if people are slowing down the process? What might you be willing to do to move those people out of your way? And also, what might cost your own health in giving all of this focus and dedication to the task at hand? Task at hand is important. Well, maybe urgent, but is it the most important things in your life? I think the 3 needs to really evaluate what's most important to them and why. And, you know, jobs come and go, and even careers come and go, and notoriety comes and goes, and beauty fades. But what are the things that are most important to life that you are most committed to? I think a 3 really ought to stop and think about that and be able to answer those things. Because, you know, life is more than just, you know, accomplishing objectives. It's meant to be lived, and people are meant to be loved, not just, you know, used to accomplish goals. They're meant to be loved. And okay, so next, number 3, a marketing orientation. 3s have a natural orientation toward determining what people want in life, what people are looking for, and then how to adjust and package products, and perhaps even themselves, in such a way as to meet people's desires. So that's marketing. Marketing is when you take a product and you look at the market audience and you try to figure out ways to communicate how this product can meet customers' demands, can meet customers' expectations, and can provide a good or service, right? And so 3s have that natural orientation, which can be a lot of positives in the work environment, because 3s are always, in a sense, sort of polishing up the product and polishing up their image and polishing up their resume as to be admirable and desirable and charming and likable and productive and useful and all those important things. But kind of the downside of that can be too much attention can be given to the packaging and not enough attention is given to the product itself. In other words, you know, the 3 can kind of end up with a beautifully wrapped empty present. The shell, is attractive. The shell, the exterior is flawless. But the internal, that which actually matters, can be a little bit lacking. That can be true of their life. It can be true of their careers. It can be true of their family life. Is like sevens who are very concerned about, let's keep the relationships on the surface level. Threes, if they're not careful, can keep, life at the surface level. In other words, they drive a beautiful car. I'm doing surface in sign language. As I'm talking, I'm thinking in, surface. They keep things on the surface. They drive a beautiful car. They live in a beautiful house. They have a impressive career. They have a physically, attractive body, perfect white teeth, beautiful head of hair. But they may find that if they do a little internal investigation, of their emotional health or their spiritual health or their relational health, that it may not be much more than a beautiful glossy photo. And at the end of the day, life is meant to be more than just beautiful wrapping paper. Grandma used to wrap presents in brown paper sacks and kids were happy to get them. Threes don't want a brown paper sack. They want the packaging to be attractive and to be beautiful. But what's really important is what's on the inside, right? We all say that, it's a cliche, but it's really true. What's important is what's on the inside. And I think sometimes threes can forget that. They want so desperately to deal with this issue of worth and value that they constantly are, repackaging themselves in beautiful, shiny wrapping paper without, if not careful, without giving much thought to, the actual product itself or the life they're living itself. Because feelings are like speed bumps to three. They slow them down. And threes don't want to be slowed down. They want to accomplish. But why? That's the question. Why do you want to accomplish so much? What are you driven away from? What are you driven toward and what are you driven away from? And why are you so impulsed and compelled? And that's what this video is all about, is stopping that impulse for a second and just objectively try to distance yourself from your personality for a minute and say, what is all this success really getting me? What is it doing for me? What is it really accomplishing, and how much of it really matters at the end of the day? And how much happiness, real happiness, contentment, and joy is it bringing me? Okay, next. Projecting an image of success and competence and looking good in every context. So the three is very driven to project an image of success and confidence and look good, or look professional, because the 3-4 is called the professional, right? So to look professional, the 3-2 is called the charmer. So charming and professional, that's what you got going on with threes. Threes want to look like they know what they're doing. And they do. They look like, they kind of can fit whatever situation they're in and can look good doing what they're doing and look competent doing what they're doing. And they can kind of, to that degree, almost adopt a persona that fits perfectly the scenario that they are trying to accomplish. Now that's a good thing when understood and when tempered and when used appropriately, kind of putting on, you might say, the social mask to fit the situation perfectly and to look appropriate in whatever context they're in. But obviously that's going to have some negatives, right? And I can think of several negatives that come to mind. Wanting to look professional and wanting to be taken seriously and wanting to be admired and gain people's respect all moves you towards some healthy habits, yes. But what about if you don't feel like you're being given the respect that you feel you deserve or the recognition that you feel you're deserved? Well, you can see threes become unglued when they feel like people are not recognizing them or are not admiring them as they should. Other people are being applauded and they feel like they're being left out. They feel like their recognition and their work and their effort isn't being acknowledged. Threes can become sometimes pretty aggressive about that. making sure that they are not only valued by the organization, but that value is being expressed. And threes can become sort of upset and frustrated when they feel like they're being taken what's the word, not advantage of, but taken for granted. I think that that willingness to adjust yourself to fit a context would be hard for you to try to explain to an 8. That's why sometimes 8s and 3s can sometimes be a little scratchy against each other, because the 8 is not ever going to think in terms of adjusting themselves to fit other people's expectations. I think 3s and 1s could work together great until some of this starts to develop, when 1s get that sense that the 3 might, when they're both accomplishing a lot and working toward goals, they could probably work together very well, until the 3 starts to adjust in order to win, or to adjust in order to meet people's expectations, to be quote unquote likable or admirable. And the 1 might see that as you aren't really living convictions. You aren't really living out your convictions. You are foregoing the rules in order to get ahead. The 1's going to have problems with that. And I think that, as a 3, you might want to sit and evaluate for a minute, how far am I willing to go in order to win? And how far am I willing to go in order to be what people expect and admire? Because that could take you down an unhealthy road. I think you can realize that prioritizing style over substance, or method over message, or wrapping paper over gift, that adjusting yourself to fit scenarios like a salesman has its place in certain situations, but in other situations, don't be surprised if people could get frustrated with that, and people could maybe get the sense that you are giving up your convictions in order to get ahead, or in order to win. Probably what they don't understand is that is your conviction. Your conviction is to get ahead and to win, and to prove that you are a person of value. And again, that goes back to that worth issue that you've got to address, the worth and value issue. Okay. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 5, competing to win and striving to be your best. Great strength. Competing to win and striving to be your best at whatever you do. Work hard to be the best. Anything you put your mind to that you're going to, accomplish, you're going to try to do your best and be the best, the most ideal standard of whatever it is you're trying to become. That's good. That's really good. What's the downside in that? Well, again, to what degree and to what length are you willing to go in order to do that? How aggressive might you become? How exhausted to yourself and to others might you become in order to accomplish that? And what will you do in order to prevail against your quote-unquote competition or other people that are in the race? How far will you go in order to stand out? And to avoid failure. Maybe you'll give up and quit on things before you should, because you sense that it's going to make you look humiliated, or you might fail at it. But again, there's a lot of lessons that could be learned from failure. And if you don't allow yourself to go through failure because it's unpleasant and because it makes you feel bad, then maybe you're going to miss out on some opportunities and some lessons that you could learn from failure. Look, I'm a 7, right? We reframe everything. So even failures get reframed as, hey, what a great opportunity to learn what didn't work. What a great opportunity to get in touch with my need to depend on others and my need to continue to research and grow and develop. And so, 7s are masters at turning everything around to see the positive. Failure can have its positives. Failure can have its benefits. And, you got to think about it like this for a minute. It's great to win every race you're in. But that makes everybody else not the winners. You're the winner. And you hope that people will admire you because you're the winner. But what you sometimes fail to realize is other people want to win too. Other people want to engage in something and accomplish something and have that same feeling that you feel, that feeling of winning, that feeling of beating the competition. But they're maybe not as driven as you are to have that a reality. And so you may find people frustrated with you and it doesn't make sense to you because you're just doing your best. If they wanted to do their best, then they could win too. If they wanted to give as much time and energy as I do, then they could win too. But don't be surprised if when you get to the top of the heap, right, instead of respect and admiration, people resent you. Okay? Just keep that in mind. Just be aware that it's going to happen. That there's going to be people who are plotting your demise because you are so successful. And that's just the wickedness and brokenness of other people, right? They're not all going to celebrate your success. They're going to mark you as a target that needs to be annihilated because you make everybody else feel bad about themselves. I know that's not your intention, but just recognize that there's a dark side to all of this over accomplishing and over success, not to mention the least of which is if you have a family, what are they giving up for all of your success? You know, what are they giving up so that you can have a few more medals hanging on your wall, right? So that you can get that promotion. You can get that promotion, you can get that advance, you can get that so that you can then what? Spend more hours away from your family? You're not the only one paying a price, I guess. Maybe you could think of it like that. You're not the only one paying a price for all this success, for all this determination, for all this work, for all this drivenness. Your body's paying a price. Your feelings and emotions are paying a price. The people that are close to you that want your time but can't give you a plaque for spending time with them, they want your time too. And sometimes you can forget, that work and all this stuff, that's the distraction away from what really matters. What really matters are the people in your life. And the people in your life, look, they either love you or they don't for who you are. If you have to accomplish something for them to love you, then that's not love. It's not. If you have to earn it, if you have to maintain it by what you accomplish and how important and impressive you are and the diplomas that you have, then those people don't love you. They admire you, and you've got to keep their admiration. Do you want to spend your life jumping through the hoops to win people's admiration? Or do you really want to make a difference? If you really want to make a difference, then here's the challenge for the 3 is get alone long enough to ask yourself, what do I want to do in life? Not what will bring me the most awards and the most recognition and the most attention and make me the most pleasing version of myself, but what is it you really are passionate about? And then take that drive and that determination and then use it to benefit everybody else. And that's when 3 goes to 6, right? Because 6 is all about community. It's all about us. I don't want to stand out. I don't want to be acknowledged as anything other than a part of the group. And 3s, when they're healthy, they go to 6 and they say, what can I do for everybody? What can I do to bring the whole team and move the whole team ahead? Instead of trying to stand out and be the best ideal version of myself, what can I do to make this team the best and make us all winners? And that's when 3s are healthy. When 3s feel like they can't win and they feel like no matter what they do, that their efforts aren't working, you'll see them go to 9 in that sense of just giving up and settling for comfort and settling for not rocking the boat. Okay? And the last thing is inspiring others and inspiring people to be driven toward results. So you'll often see when a 3 posts something on Facebook, look at this thing I did, look at this accomplishment I made, look at this award I received. Then they'll say this tagline, of you could do this too. You could accomplish what you set out in life as well. With a little bit of work and a lot of endurance and perseverance, I'm here to cheer you on, right? And it's kind of the nice way that threes say, you know, let me talk about myself, let me promote myself, and I'm going to do it in a way that I'm going to try to not sound self-promoting. So look at this trophy I won, look at this accomplishment I made, look at this results that I got, and I'm only posting this to help you. I'm not trying to draw any attention to myself. I'm only posting this to inspire you. And so in that way, you know, they're trying to help us all, right? And listen, even the way I say this, you can tell that, you know, I don't think, it doesn't come across genuine. It comes across as self-promotional, right? Which comes across as what? Insecure. It comes across as insecure. People that are always focused on themselves are focused on themselves because they're not sure about themselves. They're promoting themselves because because of an internal flawness, an internal weakness. People that are strong and confident in themselves, guess what? Don't think about themselves. They don't think about, are other people noticing what I accomplished? Are other people aware of what I've done? You know, they don't go out and win a trophy and then broadcast it and post it because they don't care what people think about it, because they're not doing it to be self-promotional. They're doing it because they enjoy golf. So they go play golf because they enjoy golf. If they win a trophy, that's just icing on the cake. Big deal, whatever. It's not the important reason for doing it. But threes, I think, sometimes end up doing things they don't really care about, because what they really care about at times is promoting their accomplishment and promoting their hard work, dedication, and achievement. And then they'll twist that like, and I want that to be an inspiration to you, what you could accomplish. And I think it can come across to others as a little bit trite, okay? I think threes, it'd be far more valuable if threes, instead of trying to encourage us all to be more like them, which is essentially what they're doing, is if threes could find out what it means to be a part of them. If they could find out and understand what it means to be a part of the group and listen to the valuable input coming from the group. Not just, let me teach you to be more like me. And again, I don't have anything to be ashamed of. I don't have anything to be ashamed of, because look at what I accomplished, and you won't have anything to, and realize the other types, most of them aren't shame types. So they look at your effort and they say, well, that's great, but I'm not joining a gym. That's great, but I'm not, going to give those extra hours and all that, because that's not what they're driven to. They're not driven away from shame. Okay. They don't care if they've got 20 pounds overweight and they don't have a perfect body and they have a hairy back. They don't care, because shame isn't the problem for many of the other types. They have their own problems that they're trying to address. And I think threes, when you can become aware that I need to listen to other people and I need to work for their benefit and try to help them by listening to them, rather than promoting myself, my cause, my agenda, my career, my goals to them, then maybe you won't damage relationships and get in the potential conflicts and challenges with other people that maybe you could be prone to be in with people. All right. Well, again, threes, what you got going for you is your determination to improve yourself. Boom. So take this video for what it's worth. Maybe there's a few things that popped up that you might need to adjust in the way you orient yourself toward life and success. And if you'll get serious about it, who better than you guys to make yourself a better version of you? That's what it's all about for threes, a better version of you. All right, wishing you success, and success in the most important things in life, primarily the things that last for eternity, a success in the most important things in life, and as always, be present to life. Don't be so focused on accomplishing the goals that you forget to enjoy what's right in front of you right now. Imagine you couldn't win anything else and you couldn't succeed in anything else, and all you had was what you have right now. Learning to be content in that. That may be the real success of life, is learning to be content with who you are and where you are and what you are right now. And then you might be able to operate out of a different kind of drivenness than the drivenness that you know right now. All right, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching this video. Blessings. I'll catch you next time.